In the quiet village of Umuagu, before the sun even thought about stretching its golden arms across the sky, a dream was already awake. It lived in the heart of a 17-year-old boy named Chibuzo. His mother's call, sharp and familiar, would cut through the morning mist. "Chibuzo, wake up, the sun goes soon, comet." Even as he rose from his raffia mat, the cracked mud walls of his home a constant reminder of their poverty, his eyes burned with a fire that Umuagu couldn't quench. He wanted more. He wanted everything. "I'm up, Mama," he'd say, pulling on a school uniform washed so many times it had forgotten its original color. His mother, Mama Uloku, would hand him a small portion of soaked gari and groundnuts, her voice heavy with unspoken apologies. "Now what did I fit do today?" she'd murmur. Chibuzo would just smile, a promise in his eyes. "No worry, Mama. One day I go buy you golden pot for kitchen." A promise that echoed with the fierce hope of youth. Education, she told him, was his only way out of their struggle. And he believed her. At school, while his teacher lectured, Chibuzo's mind wasn't on the anatomy of plants. It was thousands of kilometers away, lost in the chaotic, vibrant streets of Lagos. The city of dreams, where his cousin Emeka had disappeared into a world of big cars and endless possibilities. He told his best friend, Ifeanyi, with unshakable certainty, "After my exams, I'm going to Lagos. I must make it big." Ifeanyi was skeptical. "You sure say Lagos go favor you? That place no be for everybody." But Chibuzo's faith was a fortress. If a person doesn't try, how will they ever succeed? He'd counter. He was so sure, so full of that raw, untamed ambition that only the young possess. He was ready to chase his destiny, no matter the cost. And so, his final exams came and went. A couple of failed papers didn't even register. His mind was made. One early morning, he hugged his mother, there thick with her tears and his promises. "Mama, I'm going to Lagos today. Don't cry. I'll send money as soon as I'm settled." She pleaded with him to wait, to let her save up, but his feet were already moving. With just 2 shirts, a pair of jeans, and his entire life savings of 3,000 naira tucked into a small bag, he boarded a rickety bus. As the vehicle rattled towards the horizon, Chibuzo's hope stretched out just as endlessly as the road ahead. Lagos was a shock to the system. A roaring symphony of blaring horns, shouting vendors, and aggressive traffic. It was a concrete jungle, and he was just a boy from the village. He found shelter with his cousin Emeka in a cramped one-room apartment in a jeganal, a space shared by 10 other dreamers, all sleeping on the floor, all chasing their own version of success. Emeka got him a job as a busboy, a life that started at 4 a.m., shouting destinations until his throat was raw, "Oshodi, Oshodi. Enter with your change." It was a brutal grind of insults, rain, and relentless hunger. But every night, huddled on the floor, Chibuzo would whisper to himself, "This is just the beginning." He saw other boys making quick money through questionable means, but he vowed to stay clean. He would work hard, he would be honest. That was the promise he made to himself, a promise he held onto with all his might. Until the day it broke. The temptation arrived wearing new sneakers and a triumphant grin. It was Emeka. "Guy, see levels. Money don't land," he announced one evening, showing off his new acquisitions. Chibuzo was confused. "Where did you get it?" Emeka leaned in, his voice a conspiratorial whisper. "Forget this conductor life. I've joined a small hustle. Yahoo! You just press a laptop, and money drops." Chibuzo's face hardened. "But that's wrong. It's a scam." Emeka just laughed it off. "My brother, it's not a scam, it's smart work. We're just taking back what they owe us." The idea was a seed planted in Chibuzo's mind. With every passing day, as he watched Emeka flaunt a new phone or expensive clothes, that seed began to sprout. He felt his own poverty more acutely than ever. The final straw came one rainy night. The bus broke down, and the driver, angry and broke, refused to pay him his meager wages. Soaked, exhausted, and penniless, something inside Chibuzo snapped. Later that night, he went to Emeka, his voice barely a whisper, "Please, show me how this your thing works." He was a quick study. Frighteningly so. Within 3 months, Chibuzo was no longer a busboy. He was a character, a persona. He was a U.S. soldier chatting with lonely foreign women online, weaving tales of love and honor. He bought a laptop, moved into a better apartment, and the money started to flow. He began sending 50,000 home every month. His mother, overjoyed and proud, would ask, "My son, what are you doing in Lagos that money is rushing in like this?" And he would reply vaguely, "Mama, I'm in online business." And she believed him. Why wouldn't she? Her son was finally succeeding. Chibuzo dove headfirst into the fast life. Designer clothes, nightclubs, and a circle of friends as fake as the identity he wore online. But the success felt hollow. In the quiet moments, annoying guilt would eat at his soul. Staring at his glowing laptop screen, he'd whisper into the darkness, "God, forgive me. I just want to make life better." He was living the dream he'd always wanted, but it was turning into a nightmare he couldn't wake up from. Then came the storm, both outside and in. One night, as thunder cracked across the Lagos sky, Chibuzo was at his keyboard, crafting another lie. Suddenly, a violent bang shook his door. Bang, bang, bang. "Open this door, EFCC." Before he could even process the words, the door burst open. Men in black tactical vests stormed in, guns raised. "Freeze!" The world spun into chaos. They seized his laptop, his phones, his cash. Emeka was caught too. In a desperate plea, Chibuzo cried out, "I'm not a thief. I was just trying to survive." But his words were lost in the raid. Handcuffed and defeated, they were dragged away. At the station, the officers laid out his life in a series of screenshots and chat logs. The evidence was overwhelming. But what truly broke him was when they showed him the photos of his victims. The faces of trusting old women, single mothers, and retirees who had poured their savings into his web of deceit. In the cold, sterile silence of a holding cell, Chibuzo finally shattered. He curled into a ball and whispered the words that had been haunting him for months, "Mama, I failed you." 2 weeks later, Mama Yuloku journeyed from the village. She arrived at the courthouse, a small, trembling figure in a world she couldn't comprehend. She didn't understand the complex legal jargon, but she understood the cold steel of the handcuffs on her son's wrists. And she understood the finality in the judge's voice as he declared the sentence, 5 years in prison. A scream tore from her throat before she collapsed. Chibuzo could only watch, his own tears flowing freely, as every single one of his dreams, the golden pot, the big house, the life of freedom, evaporated into nothing. The news that reached Umuagu a year later was stark and brutal. Chibuzo had fallen sick in prison. Malaria, they said. By the time he was taken to a hospital, it was too late. Mama Yuloku's grief was a storm that would never pass. She buried her only son behind their small hut, under the shade of the mango tree where he used to sit and dream of a life beyond the village. With a hand that trembled with age and sorrow, she carved his epitaph into a simple wooden marker. Here lies Chibuzo Yuloku, the boy who wanted more. Chibuzo's story is a tragic reminder that the road to success is often filled with tempting shortcuts, but these paths rarely lead to the destination we dream of. It is a story about the weight of our choices and the fine line between ambition and desperation. Thank you for watching and for letting us share this powerful story with you. If it moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more content that makes you think. Stay safe and always choose the right path.